All right, welcome to another edition of 50 Shades of Maintenance Special Edition. This is weird because we normally do this show together, so
Right.
it's a little bit off this time. So yeah, we're going to do another series of YouTube panel attendees, and just so you get to know folks. This one seemed a little bit self-serving because if you don't know Tanya already, you probably are living under a rock or brand new to the community. So, but we'll try and get into just a little bit of Q&A. Like we did with our good friend Jane, and see if we can't get you guys exposed to some of the things that I think that people who are further along kind of have to deal with. And then we'll focus all of our YouTube specific questions from when we're actually at the panel. So that's good to know. So that will be Saturday at 3 o'clock. So go to WSFA, make sure you leave that spot open. There's some competing panels and things there. You want to make sure you get in our panel. So.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the agenda yet, but I mean, clearly we're the most important, so.
Yeah, I mean, every time we have a panel, the room's full, so you want to get there early.
Yeah, it was packed last year. I mean, packed.
Yeah, to the rim. It was crazy.
For both of the YouTube panels.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's, well, I don't want to get into that because I'm not here to interview my thoughts. I'm here to talk about my thoughts. But looks like the site has been updated and fixed. There were some problems with wrong pictures with profiles and things like that, and there were some missing folks. Seems to be all fixed right now. So
okay, good.
Double checked it. So you go check out the YouTube panel schedule at WSFA.org, and you can just scroll right through all the different things that are happening there. So
awesome.
That being said, let's get to the good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and let you give your background, beginning stats. I would probably hear you did it. Well, that's pretty obvious, but go ahead and give your beginning stats, and then we'll get into the questions.
Okay, so I had VSG in November of 2011. My starting weight when I went to my surgeon was 272. Day of surgery, I was 255, and my lowest ever was after my tummy tuck, which I had in November of 2013, and that was in the 155 range. Then I bounced up from there back to my normal stable weight was always in the mid 160s, 164, 167. I stayed there until about 3 years out, and then my weight kind of creeped up and had regained, and I would battle between 185 and 190. 190 would kill me if I saw that. Until August of this past year, I started doing keto and cut out the carbs, completely cut out, well, not completely, but less than 20 carbs a day, no sugar, and that kind of fixed everything for me. So now I'm bouncing between my low that I see is 169 and my high is 174. But I'm definitely more muscle than I was when I was at my lowest weight in that 2 to 3 year mark. So I'm pretty happy with where I am right now. I still have loose skin. I got the jiggly arm bits going, but I feel like I've put on a lot of muscle in the last couple years with my fitness. So I'm happy with that. So that's kind of my quick scenario. I did have that tummy tuck in November of 2013, and then I had a revision in December of 2014 to take more skin off. So that's my last plastic weight type surgery I had.
So was there a year between the revision?
Yeah, 13 months, yeah.
Didn't seem like it was that long for some reason.
Well, when I did it and I had the loose skin still, she said she wanted it to heal for at least 9 months to see if it was going to tighten up just on its own or was it just swelling. And then with my work schedule, it was easier for me to take off in that Thanksgiving, Christmas time frame. So I put it off until December, and then I did it a week before Christmas, and then I had that time to recover when I was off of work anyway. So.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I definitely want to get into the plastics piece, but let's start off with kind of what finally pushed you to do the weight loss surgery and kind of walk them maybe through the process of kind of how you got to that point.
Okay. Well, I was a lifetime fat, so I've been battling it my whole life, and my highest ever wasn't before VSG. It was before I had my son. My highest ever was in the mid 290s, and I couldn't get pregnant. And so I had gone on just those standard, low fat, whatever, diet, exercise, and I got down to 220, and that's when I got pregnant for William. That was in 2004. And I did pretty good even after I had him, keeping that weight down. I had my daughter in 2007. And then after that, it just started creeping up, creeping up, creeping up. And I kind of got to the point where I was like, I just resigned myself that I'm just going to be the fat person. That's just who I am. And there's no other option for me. This is my future. And I'm tired of fighting it. I'm just going to do it. Then a friend of mine that I work with that I don't see very often because we're in different locations, I had seen her in like I think I want to say like the summer of 2011, and she had lost a lot of weight. And I was like, whoa, what did you do? And we were in a meeting. She said, come to my office afterwards. And she told me that she had VSG. I'd never heard of it before. She told me the surgeon's name. I went home and I Googled it, and I found YouTube videos and just like binged on anything I could watch about it, which at that time wasn't a whole lot of stuff out there. It was only like just a handful of people who were vlogging at that time. And I knew that's exactly what I wanted. I'm like, this is my last effort to try and get a hold of this, and I'm going for it. And I you know, of course I heard a bypass, I heard a lap band, and I wasn't interested in either one of those. And when I told John, he was like, well, I thought you said you would never have weight loss surgery. And I was like, yeah, but this seems so different. I think this might be the solution for me. So I went, and I didn't even do the seminar. I just went to the surgeon and I said, I know I want to do this. I know my insurance is not going to pay for it because it's clearly stated in our policy that they will not pay for bariatric surgery. I'm prepared to pay for it myself. Sign me up. And he said, okay. And about 6 weeks later, I had surgery. So I jumped in quickly.
What was it about the VSG that made you say, yeah, this might be for me?
Well, with the lap band, I just felt like you just have this thing that's around your stomach and it can slip, and it just seemed like there were problems, and people never seemed to get, that I knew at that time, never seemed to get to their goal weight. I know people now who have it that did get to their goal weight, but I just didn't feel like it was, if I was going to go into surgery, I didn't feel like that was fail safe enough. Then with gastric bypass, the rerouting of the intestine and the malabsorption, that scared me at that time as well. So when I heard about VSG and all they were doing was taking out part of your stomach, they weren't rerouting anything. They were just making it smaller. And it was basically doing what the lap band was kind of meant to do, but in a more permanent and healed fashion. And that just seemed like more of a viable option. And it felt like a permanent solution, that there wasn't gonna need a revision at some point. So
that's good. No, I'm not surprised by the answer. So I won't even go into why. Did you? So being a lifetime babe, did you ever feel like being overweight stunted any part of your life, or do you still feel like because you're overweight for certain parts of your life or large parts of your life that you know, had those kinds of things affected by that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the feelings that I had and the experiences that I had from being overweight and feeling that beat down feeling and never feeling quite normal or like anybody else, or, you know, now when I look at it, being on this side of it, and we had kind of talked about this when we were together a couple weeks ago, that when I look at people now, like we go to the beach and I think, you know what, nobody really looks fantastic. That's probably like 1% of the population that you're like, wow, they look really good. Everybody else is pretty average. But I remember those feelings from when I was at my heaviest. I would look at those average people and think, why can't I look like them? You know, I just want to be average. I don't even want to be fantastic. I just want to be average. And that's not me. And I always felt like I was kind of on the outside. And I always had those feelings that I excelled at everything else in life. I could work so hard. Why can't I work hard enough to excel at this too? And I think those feelings never really leave you. Like, I'll always remember what that felt like, that defeated feeling. I can look at people now and I'll think, oh, I could help this person because I know exactly what they're feeling. I know that they feel defeated. I know that they feel hopeless. I remember that distinctly. So that's never going to go away. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of, I think, why you give back to the community still. I mean, I mean, that seems to be like the driving force for me, for you. Like, I see that you have hung in there for a long time, and we'll talk about longevity here in a second.
Yeah.
But that seems to be why people like continue to like flock to your videos and stuff, because like you're giving that, like, hey, I can help. I did this. Here's how I did it. So I think that's very positive. And it's kind of, I think when you share those kinds of experiences for those folks, like, get an opportunity to really kind of put themselves in your shoes. So.
Yeah, I was telling somebody this week that I had been helping somebody, and I was telling somebody about it, and I said, I just want everybody to succeed. Like, I have this drive in me that it's not like, I don't feel that competition. Like, you know, I always see like these memes and stuff about like, you don't have to, you know, kill somebody else's light just to make yourself shine brighter or something like that. I don't, there's no competition. I truly want everybody to feel what I feel. Like, if I want to bottle it and give it to people and just tell them, like, this is how successful you can feel and how proud of yourself you can feel. You can totally do it. I want to help everybody. That's why I still make videos, and I'm active in the community, because I get as much back from it as what I give. So,
do you think that there were any things? And I was thinking about this the other day. You know, I'm a little older than you, but not by much. So. But I mentioned just kind of see what other people in our place really kind of think about this. But you feel like being overweight your whole life stole some opportunities from you that you'll just never get, or you'll never have the opportunity to do?
Well, yeah, in some ways, but like, I feel like there's a lot of things that I could have done in my youth that I probably would have traveled more and got out and did more things. When, like, my first job I had lots of opportunities to travel, and I did travel, but when I traveled, I stayed in my hotel room when I wasn't working. I didn't go out and experience any things in the towns because, number one, I didn't feel good enough. I didn't want to walk around and do things. And number two, I wasn't confident enough to, like, I would talk to the people that I was working with, but I wouldn't have. Now I'll talk to anybody, you know, like strangers, and I don't worry about them judging me on how I look, where back then I did. And I think that if I would have looked the way I looked then, I would have had the same body confidence, because I always had confidence, like, professionally and education wise. But if I would have had the body confidence, then I think I would have pushed myself to get out there and do more things and not kind of hide out at my house or hide out in the hotel room when I was traveling. So but I don't think I missed out on any opportunities, like, in education wise. You know, when I went to college, I was the president of my business fraternity. You know, I've always had that natural born leader thing in me. Work-wise, I excelled right away at work and worked my way up really quickly. So I feel like those things, my weight never held me back. My effort, because, you know, we've talked about that before too. Like, I probably put in 200% effort because I was not going to be outshone by somebody who, just because they look better than me, they're going to get an opportunity that I can't have. Like, that would have really burned me up. So I probably worked way harder than I really, really needed to, because I wanted to prove that I was the best. And professionally, I did. And when I became a mom, it got more difficult, and I was like, oh, because I mean, it was a strain to be heavy, and I was on 2 blood pressure medicines, and I think that really is when it hit home that I'm either gonna, like, die early, or I got to do something about it. And again, now I think I probably would have gotten pregnant easier, because we tried for like 2 years before I got pregnant for William, and I had to lose weight to get pregnant. I think some things there would have been, I would have had a family earlier. I might have had more kids if I started earlier. So there's things that I may have missed out because of that, but it's okay. I don't worry about it. Yeah.
Did you have to get, so once you did have the surgery, did you have to get particularly selfish? It's kind of a loaded question, but you know what I'm saying? Did you have to get particularly selfish? And if you did, which I kind of know where this is going, how did that impact friends and family and their expectations of you fitting in that role of the fat kid or the fat person in your life?
Well, you know, it's funny. Before, John used to always tell me, like, you don't have any hobbies. You don't have anything you're interested in. I'm like, I'm interested in us. Like, that's it. Like, I didn't have anything I was really interested in. And then when I decided to do this, I thought, well, I'd always been an exerciser on and off all my life. I would try, and then I would just give up because I would never see progress. And I'm like, I'm going to do it again. And I committed. I would get up early on weekends, but both Saturday and Sunday mornings, I'd get up at like 5 something and go to the gym before anybody else was there, before the kids would get up, so that way they didn't miss me, because I was so afraid. Before I was so much for the family, I was available to them 100% of the time. I felt really bad. I felt really selfish by taking time to go to the gym. But I had to get selfish because I'm like, if I'm doing this, I'm committing. I'm going all in. And then, we always talk about balance. I kind of got to a point where I probably swung too far to the selfish side and was pushing everybody else to the side. So it does put a strain. It put a strain on marriage. It put a strain on like my relationship with my parents, because I wasn't spending as much time with them. And but I feel like now it's taken a while. It probably took like 4 years to find that happy medium in between. Now, of course, at the same time, the kids are getting older, so they're a little bit more independent, so there's less guilt involved with it too. But I definitely had to get selfish, and I think I probably went a little too far too. But I think everybody kind of does, because I didn't know what it was like to do anything for myself. So it's like you don't know what the boundaries are when you've never really done it. So, I probably shopped a bit too much for myself once I could fit in clothes, and before I never did that. Everything was for the kids, or everything was for the house. We're going to do like updating on the house, because why would I spend money on myself? I always looked nice. I always tried to dress as nice as I could and do my hair and makeup, but I wasn't going to spend big money on myself because there wasn't many options, and why would I? It just wasn't, to me, it wasn't worth it. So
did you have to cut any dead wood out of your life? Like, I mean, did you have to get people out of your life, or did it all just kind of work out and you found your own boundaries with them?
Yeah, no, because you know what? I didn't have a whole lot of friends before, because I didn't want to get out and do things. I just did stuff with my family. So I didn't have a lot of, surface friendships. So I really didn't have to cut anybody out. And if anything, my relationships now in my family have probably gotten stronger because of it. So, yeah, I was really lucky with that. I didn't have any real like naysayers or anything like that in my life.
So now let's move on to the thing. Well, these will be kind of random, but I think I'll stick with the theme and we'll work towards something else. But what was the mind F moment? When did that?
Mine after the tummy tuck. Because I think it's because even like through losing the weight and all that stuff, my body shape always stayed the same. And I actually was watching one of Melly May's videos, because she just had her plastics recently, and she was saying like her body before, it could have been a weight loss surgery body, and that's how my body was too. And I had no confidence, because I knew under all my clothes that I was wearing, I still looked really crappy. Like it didn't tighten up and look good. And then when I had the tummy tuck, and it was like all of a sudden I had this body that I've always dreamed of, like, and I never thought was possible. I kind of lost my mind a little bit, because I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. And I didn't need to do anything with it, but my mind was like all over the place. I don't know. It took a long time to get through that stage.
I wonder about this, and I've asked a couple of people about this, but is it big? So you had this new body, and you're like, well, I now have opportunities available to me that I didn't have before, and or I feel like I have these, and at the same time, I still have the same
life.
So
yeah.
Is that kind of where the kind of like mix-up happens, you think?
Yeah.
Or?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because it was like, well, what if I would have had this body before I had this life? What would be different? Well, I didn't. But it's definitely a very teenage, adolescent, selfish, like, oh, I'm getting attention. Well, you know what? You're married. That should not mean anything. But when you never had it before, it's like, well, this is something it feels good. It feels like something I should have had when I was 20, but I didn't. And then you get to this feeling of like, well, should I deny all those feelings? But you only live once, and if I deny it now, it may never come around again. And it was very immature. So many of the feelings that I had, but it's probably because I didn't have them when I was a teenager and in my 20s. So I had to go through it. I had to feel it. And it's kind of almost embarrassing to think about now, but now that I'm on this side of it, but I think I'm better if I haven't gone through it, if I haven't felt it. So,
Yeah, I often wonder because I think people go through that even most of the time just through the weight loss piece. It didn't seem like that happened for you at that
no,
point.
not
It
at
happened
all.
later. So
Yeah, I was perfectly fine before I had the tummy tuck. Like, I was focused and I was doing my weight loss stuff and I was doing my exercise and it was perfectly fine. It wasn't until after the tummy tuck that it all hit me like a brick wall. Yeah.
So I'm sure that dovetailed into the plastics and your attitude. And I think you covered that. So I won't go back into that. How, well, let's say how, I think you kind of covered this too. So I'll change a little bit. But what do you think contributes to that 3-year blues kind of like mark?
I think it's like old hat. Like there's nothing exciting, Like the weight loss is exciting as excitement because the scale's moving and you're getting new clothes and you're getting compliments and everything's so new and fresh and all. And when you hit that 2 to 3 year mark, it's not fresh anymore. It's really just a grind. It's like work, It's just work. There's no big reward at the end of it. You're just doing the work to maintain. And I've said too, like I went through an angry stage because of that, because it was like I didn't think it was going to have to be this much work. I thought I was going to get to the end of the rainbow and everything would just fall into place, and I would naturally make good food choices, and I would naturally want to go exercise. And when I realized that no, I have to make a conscious effort to make the right food choices, and then I'll think, okay, well, I'm 42. I'm going to be doing this shit for the rest of my life. Like this, what? Like this is exhausting. Like I thought this was going to all be natural, but it's not. And so you got to go through your angry stage, and then I think once you get past like when you get to like the 3 to 4 year mark, you kind of get over the angry stage, and you come to like acceptance. You're like, yeah, okay, it is what it is. If I want to be happy with the way I look and the way I feel, I just got to do it. You can just accept it. But I think that 2 to 3 year for me was the angry stage. I was like, I'm pissed. I really thought I wasn't going to have to think about this anymore.
It's so funny. Your answer went right into my other question, which was like, did you ever get angry about not being able to be normal? I think because that's so bothered you. You're still like, God damn it, I did all the work. And I am walking around looking like I'm normal, but I'm still not normal. I'm still eating ridiculously low amounts of food and having to work out and watch every little thing. And I can't have a donut and I can't have this if I want to maintain this. I can't ever be a little normal.
No, it still bothers me sometimes, but not as much as it used to. But like I'll tell people, like I'm not normal. Like I can't just let it go for a few weeks. If I let it go for a few weeks, I'll gain 10 pounds like easily. Like it'll come right back. And I just know that I'm somebody who has to weigh and measure my food. I do better when I log. I tend to overeat. So if I don't log, I will probably eat more than I should. I know that about myself. And yeah, there's people out there who can eat more. But then, I look at some people who've never had weight loss surgery either, and I see them tracking their food and monitoring stuff too. So I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe I'm healthy normal. I'm not standard American diet overweight normal. And maybe healthy people who are in their 40s that want to stay healthy and active, they do consciously make an effort to make good food choices and exercise. So I think I've accepted a little bit more now that I realize that I'm not the total exception. Like I do think I have to work harder than a lot of people, but I'm glad I'm in the place that I am now, where it's not like I have to lose 100 pounds. So. And something I always think about too is I think about my heaviest self, who I was back then, and if I could have jumped from one day to the next day in the body that I have now, like with the tummy tuck, I don't want to disrespect that girl and blow it. I want to respect this opportunity to maintain what I have and maybe even improve a little bit, because I'd like to think that when I was at my heaviest, I used to think, oh, if I was just 75 pounds lighter, if I just didn't have the apron stomach, I would do crunches and I would get in shape and I would try and have abs and all stuff. And so I try and respect that girl who thought that way back then and give her the opportunity that is, placed right in front of me right now. So I try and keep that in the back of my mind.
No, that's good. I was going to say, do you ever feel like, well, let me put it this way. Let's start with this and I'll work my way back to it. So, did any of your preconceived notions of weight loss surgery and or plastic surgery change?
I guess, well, the weight loss surgery, it changed because of VSG, because I thought it was really dangerous and scary, and then I had seen somebody have it and lose and then gain it back, and I thought, well, people aren't successful with it, and you're just causing yourself problems. So my mindset definitely changed. And then I think being so active in the community, my mindset definitely changed about the different types of surgeries. Now, like lap band, I'm still not a huge fan of, because I've seen so many people have to have it taken out and have revisions to VSG or gastric bypass. But bypass, I'm not afraid of. Like if knowing what I know now, if my surgeon would have said, I really think you should do gastric bypass, I would have been really scared back then, but I wouldn't be scared now. I would do it. So my views on that has definitely changed. Plastics, I always wanted to have a tummy tuck, even before I lost the weight, because I always had an apron stomach. So I was like, if I could just get rid of this stuff. I remember doing sit-ups as heavy as I was and think I could do sit-ups so much better if I just didn't have this apron stomach, if I could just get rid of that. And so I was always open to plastics. I think now, especially in our community, it feels more normal, where when you're not in the weight loss surgery community, I don't think plastics seem like what I don't know, superficial people do, where I think for us, we're more like, no, it's really not even a superficial thing, it's a reconstructive thing. I'm trying to get my body, it's never going to be beautiful like a model, it's going to have scars and stretch marks and all these things, but I don't care. At least I feel a lot better, and I feel like my body is back into the shape of a normal person. So, yeah.
I'll be interested to see what you say to this, but I feel like the 40s thing kind of does change the realistic. I mean, you get a more realistic view of like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not going to be. I mean, there are guys and gals in their 40s and 50s that look amazing, but they are that 1%. They are movie stars. They are fitness models, whatever. And once you get that kind of in your head, maybe it was better that we did it later in life, because we have more realistic expectations. Where if we had been in our 20s, we'd be like, well. And I talked to Jane about this a little bit, like, you do all this work and you kind of like expect, and Lauren said this privately as well, like you do all this work, you expect to have that body at that age, when you're young, they're just in their early 30s. So where we're like, oh no, I'm looking at other 40-year-olds and I'm not doing too bad.
Right, the bar is lower when we're in our 40s than it would be if you were in your mid-20s. Like if I was in my mid-20s and I had the stretch marks and everything I had, even with the plastic surgery, I probably would feel a little more apprehensive, and am I going to be judged about that? Now in the 40s, most women who had kids have stretch marks, so it's like that's the norm. So and plus with age, you just get more of a effort attitude. You're like, you know what? It's what I look like, and I work really damn hard to look like this. And if you don't think it looks good, sucks to be you. That's not my problem. I definitely didn't have that attitude in my 20s and 30s. I was very much a people pleaser, and I want to fit in. And so I think there is more pressure to look a certain way in your 20s than it is in your 40s. Like now I feel like I'm probably on the good end. If you split the group 50-50, I'm on the better in shape 40s than, so I'm with stretch marks and scars and loose saggy skin. I'm still pretty happy with where I am at my age. So
yeah, I think it seems like the big and this is hard for me to admit, but it really does seem like the people who do go and just do the little extra mile with the plastics after they've done all the other work get a very different self-image. And I never thought about it I always thought about it from the physical part. Like, it's just a vanity thing. You just want to look a little better or whatever. Like, some people actually need it. I get it. There's medical reasons too.
Right.
But for me, I was like, that emotional, like, it's almost like you get more emotional satisfaction of it than physical satisfaction of it.
Yes, that's for sure. And I had a lot of emotions before I had it because I felt really guilty. I felt really guilty about my body. Like, I felt really guilty that I abused myself so much that I was going to have chunks of skin cut off of me. And I didn't expect to have those emotions. I was like in the week before I had the surgery. I just felt like, I felt sorry for my skin, if that makes any kind of sense. It was really weird. And then I felt so glad when it was done. It was like, oh my God, it looks so fantastic. And believe me, I have had some really ugly comments on my tummy tuck videos about how horrible I look and I should sue my doctor and my results are disgusting. Somebody told me they wish dead maggots would eat my flesh and I wish maggots would eat my dead flesh. And so I fully realize that my body is not perfect and I don't look like a beauty queen, but I am so happy with the results that I have. And yeah, I'm not going to look like somebody who had 2 babies and just had to have a little mommy makeover and all the skin's going to be beautiful. But the emotional satisfaction that comes with knowing, like, it feels like I completed the process with the plastics. I don't feel down on myself the way I did even at the end of losing the weight. Because I look at my stomach and I'm like, oh God, it looked exactly like it did before I lost the weight. Just a smaller version. And it did. So it made me feel like I finished. Like that was like a finish line. So
do you still get focused on specific parts of your body that every time you look in the mirror, or is that kind of in the past for you?
No, I still do.
You still do?
Yeah, because I told John it's right now, it's like my underarms and my skin. Like when I do my classes, I always wear a tank top. So when we're doing things and you're swinging your arms and my arms are like physically, like my body is probably one of the better in shape bodies in the class, but my arms are probably the absolute worst in the classes. And so, and I don't hide them. It is what it is. But when I'm exercising and I'm watching myself in the mirror, I'm staring at my underarms the entire time. So, I mean, I've considered having my arms done just because of that. And I go back and forth about it because I know it's going to be a scar or it's going to be the skin. And I haven't made that decision yet if I want to do something else. But I'm leaning towards wanting to, but then life gets in the way and I don't want to take time off of work. And, and it's like, well, if it's not worth it to me to take time off and to work it out, then it's probably not that important to me. But I definitely notice it every single time I work out. So
you still have head games with the scale? Or
no? Not since I've taken off some of the regain. when I was fighting at the top of the regain, that would upset me. And that's why I got to the point where, like, I wouldn't weigh. Like sometimes I go a month or 2 months without weighing because when you get to your lower weight, if you're up 5 pounds, if you're down 5 pounds, you can absolutely feel it. I could feel it. So and so I wouldn't weigh. And that's when the scale kind of creeped up. And now I feel like I'm getting better with it because I've learned that, I creep down and I creep back up and I creep down and I creep back up. And lately it's been like down. I might go down 1 pound and gain 3 pounds. And then I'm down like 3.5 pounds and gain 2 pounds. So it's like in a downward trend, but it still pops up. So it doesn't bother me quite as much. And now now that I'm at my lower weight, when I feel like I know that I'm up a few pounds, I just won't weigh myself because it can tend to ruin my day and I'll hyper focus on it all throughout the day if I see that number. But if I don't see the number, it doesn't bother me as much. But I do make myself weigh at least once a week because I think the not weighing is what helped it get away from me. I just ignored it. Which is exactly what got me to almost 300 pounds to begin with, is ignoring it. And I don't want to ignore anymore. But the fluctuation, that 4 or 5 pound fluctuation, doesn't bother me as much as it did. And I think it's because I know right now I have the tools to bring it back down when I'm ready to bring it back down. So, but yeah, but when it's at its highest, when I feel fluffy, I'm like, oh no, like that's even worse than the seeing it on the scale. Like,
So it's funny how that, when you get close to your goal weight, it takes you forever to drop that last 10, 15 pounds. And then you do, and then you're like, oh, it's done. And then the problem with clothing at a normal size is 10 pounds is a big, like before you could gain 30 pounds and not have to change clothes.
Right.
But down here, 10 pounds, you're like, oh my God, like things are pulling. So do you think that makes you focus more body consciousness? With even small weight gain, or even just like being swollen with water, does that still mess with you a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm feeling I must have gained 30 pounds, but it's only 10.
I can feel. I know exactly. Like I can almost call it on the scale. Like there's no shock. Like when I'm feeling puffy, I know it's probably going to be like 174. When I'm feeling really lean, I know it's probably going to be 170. Like I can feel a difference. So there's no shock about it. But yeah, the clothes, now that I'm back into all my old clothes that I had, right, like when I hit my lowest, I definitely don't want to get out of them again. It's been so exciting to be able to get, because there were several things that I couldn't wear for a while because of the regain, and now I'm back in it, and it's like, I will wear my clothes tight to keep that in my mind that I don't want it to be uncomfortable, so keep your shit in check, so...
that's a good segue too. Does it bother you? Well, I'm not preface that. Does the clothing number ever bother you? Like when you go to shop for something and you come across something that happens to be a European cut or this or that other thing, and it's
I've definitely
you don't care.
I've gotten over that. I've totally gotten over that. It did for a while as I was going down. Like when I hit 10s, I'm like, no more 12s for me, but now I have clothes in my closet that go from size 8 to size 12 that I wear, and some things are large. I have extra small shirts. I have large shirts. I've learned that the sizes don't really mean anything. It all depends on the brand and the make and the cut, and so sizes don't bother me anymore. I think it's awesome when I wear an 8. I do feel good, like, oh, I'm in an 8, but I also know that tomorrow I'll probably be wearing size 12 pants, and I'll feel just as good in those pants. But I've definitely let that go. I was like that in the beginning, like in the first couple years, but I think it's because I had never been in those lower sizes. So I didn't even know what to expect with that either, because it feels like when you hit like size 18, 20, 22, 24, I don't know, like the change, like they're more forgiving or something, but when you get to like 12, 10, 8, you got to really lean down to get down to the next size. And so it doesn't bother me anymore. And I know my body shape isn't like the perfect, whatever proportion. So my bottom has always been a little bit bigger. Well, when I was at my heaviest, I always said I was evenly fat. My sizes were exactly right. Now I can wear like a small or a medium on top, but I might need a bigger size on the bottom. It is what it is. And I like being curvy, so I don't care if I'm curvy and I have to wear something bigger. That's fine, because I like my body shape. So I think the body acceptance has helped me accept the size numbers. So
that's good. No, that's I always get interested to kind of see these things. I mean, it's a little tricky interviewing you because we're a lot alike and we talk a lot anyway. So I'm not asking questions like some I know the answer to, but okay, so it seems like everybody has this experience, and I'm wondering if you did. So you get down to your goal, and then you somehow magically fall way below your goal, and you get to this like super low weight where you don't feel like you look right. Did you have, for starters, just to start with that, did you have that moment, or did you just kind of find your goal weight and stick with it?
Well, I had my goal weight, and like when I got to like the mid 160s, and I stayed there for over a year, and then that's when I had the plastic surgery. After the surgery, like I had a lot of restriction, and that's when I went down to the mid 150s. And at the time, I thought I looked fantastic. I was like, I mean, I never dreamed I could be in the 150s, and I was buying clothes and trying on stuff and taking pictures of me, and like I wouldn't even buy stuff. I would just go to the stores to try on the clothes just to have that feeling, and I'd take pictures. And when I look back at those pictures now, I'm like, oh, I don't really particularly care for the way I look then. And my mom's really thin. You've met my mom. She's extremely thin. She wears like 0 to 4. And she even would say, I don't think this is the right size for you. I don't think this is the right weight for you. Your face looks kind of drawn down. And she'll say it now. She's like, I think you look great now. She said, back then, I was kind of worried because you didn't look as healthy. And I think we all kind of get that 2-year WLS look where you kind of look drawn down and then you kind of fill out after and everything evens out. But I didn't think of it at the time. But looking back now, I'm much happier with the way I look now than the way I looked then. Right. I still kind of get those urges inside me though. Like it would be fun to see 150s again. But I think it's just the number would be fun to see and not the actual body. Yeah. Because I think my body is not meant to be really thin like that. That's not my body type. So
I think the other side of that coin is then everybody seems to put on 20 pounds after that. Like they go back 20 pounds up. And it seems like it's 20 is the number. Like everybody seems 20 pounds, which is a scary thing. Your experience on that, and then we'll get into what it takes to kind of deal with that.
Yeah. If somebody would say when I was in the 150s that I would go back up to 190, I probably wouldn't have believed them because I was like so gung-ho, like, no, I'm done. I've got this completely figured out. No big deal. No. But yeah, you're right. I think everybody does bounce back up. Somewhere between the 15 to 30, like, is somewhere if they fall in there. And I don't know what my feelings are on that. I appreciate people who like, I'm gonna go down way below my weight so I can bounce back up. Like, I wish I could have done that. Like, it didn't naturally come to me like that. And I feel bad for people who don't get to their goal weight and then they bounce up 20 pounds, because that's definitely a real heartbreaker. That's gut wrenching. And those are the people who I really want to help, because if they just want to get back to where they were at their lowest, which wasn't even what their goal weight was, and I think it was a benefit for me too that I didn't really have like a true goal weight in mind. I had like pie in the sky ideas, and my pie in the sky idea was 185, and I just did a post this week on Facebook about it. Like, the day I hit 185, I posted it on Facebook. Oh, I hit my goal weight, because that was the lowest weight I had ever been, not as a teenager, like anything older than a teenager. So I didn't have very high expectations of what my weight loss would be. But so if I would have set my goal weight for 150, I would have been terribly disappointed. And if I would have set my goal weight for 150 and I bounced up to 190, I would have been destroyed. But because my goal weight was 185 and I got down to 160s and then a crazy 150 range for a short time, and then I bounced up to 190, I was only 5 pounds over what my original goal weight was. So that always would play back in my head too when I would fight the 185 to 190. I would think, when you had surgery, if somebody would tell you could be 185, you'd have been like, hell yeah, sign me up. So stop your moaning and groaning and being down on yourself, because it's not horrible. It's not a horrible place to be. But then the flip side of that was it kind of gave me permission to not do my very best, because it was like, 185 is not bad. It's good enough. And I went through a whole good enough stage. Like, this is good enough. I'm not back to where I was, so this is good enough. And I wasn't doing myself any justice by just being complacent about that. So
that kind of leads us to the next thing. So it seems like, so for me, I'll just kind of, normally I don't want to interject this on these interviews, but so just as a reference point, does like 202 was the lowest, and I looked like a bobblehead, and that was about the time I went to Australia. And I came back from Australia. I felt like I looked like a bobblehead, so drawn, gaunt. My muscles toned and looked good. So lifting weights, getting up to about 215, I felt pretty good at 215, and I really was fine still with 220 even. But did you see like I'm 250? Not the number, but like, I'm 215, that's fine. 217. I've been weighing pretty consistently about 217, 218. That's not that far off. 222. Well, maybe my muscles going up, maybe, and I'll do my body fat and see where I'm at. And then it's 227, and then that's your new set point. And then that lasts for several months. And then 230, whatever, and then 235. And then did you have those kinds of like creep ups, and then
Yes.
what was talk about the struggle backwards,
Yeah.
and how tough that is, I guess. Yeah.
It was, well, so I stayed in the 160s for a long, long time. Went down to 150s, been back to the 160s, so I was good with that. Then I hit 170, and I was like, oh, I've gone back and watched some of my videos from around that time, and I was saying, like, oh, I need to put the brakes on. I need to get this in check. And it was also about the same time that I was going through that teenage, adolescent stage and not thinking straight. And then it was like 175, and then I think I went over 180 in a phase where I wasn't weighing myself. And I was like, oh my God, this is bad. And then that's when I got scared, and I was like, I really have to hunker down and do something. And then I did, and the scale really wouldn't move again. I still couldn't get back down into the 170s. And then I would have like 2 or 3 weeks on being great. I would lose maybe 3 pounds, and then I'd have 2 weeks off where I had something going on, traveling or whatever, and I gained 4 pounds, and it would just creep up a little bit more and a little bit more. And you get that beginning of the end feeling like, well, I've lost, 80 pounds before, and I've put it all back on before. Is this the beginning of the end? Is this the first 10 pounds, first 15 pounds of the end? And I kept telling myself in the past when that happened is when I would just let things go, and I would just say, fuck it, I don't care. It's too much work. It's not worth it. I'm just going to let it go. I'm like, you are not doing that. You are not doing that. And I'd make myself start weighing and tracking my food again, but I would still try and incorporate little things that I just would create more cravings for me. And it was definitely hard. When I saw the 190, I think 191 was the highest I ever saw as a regain, and I was like, no, this is so dangerously close to 200, and it will destroy me to go over 200. And I'm like, I've got to change something. There has to be a way for me to, and I was like, you get the crazy thoughts like, maybe I need to have a different surgery. Maybe there's something else I could do, because I'm doing everything I can, but I wasn't really doing everything I can. I was kind of fooling myself into thinking I was doing everything I can. And activity-wise, my fitness was always good. Like I had my arthritis problems, and that kind of contributed to some of the weight gain too, because I couldn't exercise quite the same way that I was before. And then I could tend to use that as an excuse in like, well, I got the arthritis, and I'm doing the best that I can do. But I needed to have my food in check better at that time, and I didn't. I admittedly didn't, and I wasn't going completely off the rails. Like like we said, it wasn't like I was eating like a total normie who wasn't even thinking about it. I was still conscious, but I was also, having crackers and have a handful of M&Ms a few times a week. And, I wasn't having a whole candy bar, but a nibble of this and a nibble of that, and it all adds up. And for me, I can't do that. I just can't do that. So, but I tell you, getting it in check and cutting out the sugar and getting my mind right again, I feel like I felt in the first year after VSG. I feel so much more in control. So, like I can say no. I mean, you were with me for several days. I said no to things, and I don't feel deprived. I don't feel like my experience was any less than anybody else's. That's how I live now, and that's exactly how I felt in the first year after surgery, and that's how I feel now. And I like that feeling. I want to keep that feeling.
Yeah, and I think that's. So I mean, we both have that same experience, right? So we're both going out, and we're like, well, can't have the donut with the people that are having donuts. Like, well, can we have? Well, we can have this, we can do that. Like, I think that it goes to show that you're not some exception to the rule. You're having to bust ass. I mean, there's and forever. It's never going to stop.
It's right. I mean, and it's not that I don't like donuts. It's not that I don't like chocolate, and I love all of those things, but I like the way I feel more, and I like feeling proud of myself more than I like those things. So, and I will have some kind of treat every now and again, but it's going to be damn special. It's going to be for a really good reason. It's going to be something that tastes really freaking fantastic. It's not going to be like, I always think after I had surgery, I would say, it's okay to have birthday cake on your birthday. I just can't celebrate every person I know's birthday. which before I couldn't wait to celebrate everybody's birthday because I loved cake. I love cake. I still love cake. I love icing. Like, you just don't even know. But I also love the way I feel. I like the way I feel in my clothes. I love my body movement that I can do with my classes and stuff. So that's just more important to me now. And I'm not an exception. I fight it every day. I could easily get up in the morning and have pancakes. I would love that. Love it. But it's not worth it to me. And I think people just have to get to a point where they figure out what's worth it to them.
Yeah, and I think the big challenge that you talk like, oh, I'd have a couple M&Ms or I'd have a couple of this, and you're thinking to yourself logically, like, oh, it's I'm eating 2 or 3 of these mini candies a week, big deal. It's like,
right,
but it's so unfair, but that's just enough to keep you from being able to move the needle at all, and sometimes it moves in the wrong direction even.
Right. Well, and for me too, it triggers me to want more of things. So I'm not the kind of person that can have like one candy bar and not think about it again for 3 months. Once I have something that I really like, then I want it every single day. And I'll eat things until I can't stand them anymore. And so now I know it's better for me to not go down that road. Just don't go down that path. Don't have the one thing that I know is going to trigger me. I do it now with even good foods, you know, like right now, I like the Lily's chocolate chips. It's made with stevia, so it's all good product. But I have it almost every single day, and I shouldn't really have it every single day. But I work it into my macros to have it every single day. But the behavior hasn't totally changed. Instead of having M&Ms, I'm having the stevia chocolate chips, you know. So I'm still got the same food addict issues that I've had my whole life. I just consciously deal with them not just every single day, every meal, you know. So I don't relax on it.
So basically, it's almost kind of like when I put that post out there, it was like 100% is easier than 99%. Like, just saying no is easier than, oh, I'll have one. I mean, because it's never just one. It makes you want to have 2 or 10 or 12 or 15 or every day. Like, where like every day I want that sugar rush. I want,
right.
You know.
Yeah, and like, you know, I think people, I don't know, I don't know if it's really a food addiction or what exactly it is, but I'm not a moderation kind of person. And I wish I was. You know, you hear people say, "Oh, you just have one and then you don't think about it again." No, I'm not that person. I can't just have one and not think about it again. If I have one, it triggers something. And I really think it has to do, not to get like into, but like, I think it has to do with like brain chemistry and dopamine triggers. Some people are more sensitive or less sensitive, and I think I'm extremely sensitive to certain triggers, sugar being one of them. When I cut it out, I feel in control. When I have one bite, I lose control, just like an alcoholic would or a drug addict. And I wish I didn't have that. I wish I didn't have that about myself, but you know, we all have something, right? So that's my thing. I'm all or nothing, and I do better with nothing. I just do.
We'll end on this, but I kind of, what would be your best advice for somebody who just hit their goal, they're still on that high, or they're right there, and they're like, oh, I made it, I can be normal now. What's the best advice you can give them to kind of help them avoid some of the hard learning curves of years 2, 3, and 4?
Well, it's so funny. I always say this, but I didn't take my own advice for a long time. You know, I always say that nothing changes. You know, people always say, oh, when I get to goal, this is what I'm going to do to maintain my weight. And I'm going to incorporate this in my diet when I'm maintaining. No, you're not. If you incorporate that into your diet, you're going to be on the regain train with the rest of us. That's what we all did. We all screwed it up. If you want to get to your lowest weight and maintain your lowest weight, you do exactly what you're doing to get to your lowest weight. You don't change anything. You don't incorporate new things. You don't start drinking every day or almost every day. I went down that road. You know, you don't start having extra carbs because you're going to maintain your weight. Like, this is going to make you stop losing. No, your body stops losing when it finds its equilibrium. Nothing changes. You do exactly what you did to lose the weight. And I know it's hard because I screwed it up too. I think everybody screws it up, but I think when you learn your life lessons, that's what it all comes down to. If you do everything you did to get down, everything you did to get down is the same thing you do to maintain. You don't exercise any less. You don't eat any more. You do exactly the same.
Good advice, Stand on. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in again. And again, very strange for me to be interviewing you like that, but kind of fun. We will be back, I hope, next week because we're running out of weeks.
I know. I know. Tom's slipping away.
With Lauren, I believe Lauren's up next, and then I think after that we're going to go with Ange, and then I'm gonna try and sneak Ray in, but I got a commitment out of her. So
yeah,
I know she's kind of disappeared a little bit. I think she's doing the mental stuff right now. So no harm in there. Right? So, but all right, guys. Until next time, next week, hopefully. Remember not to define your world in black and white because there's so much hiding amongst the gray, especially the gray in my beard.